All right, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? It's Monday. All right, what's going on, Rich? In the building, Big Dog Philly in the building. Yeah, obviously I'm late, but gotta take care of business. But yeah, let's get going. We're gonna get these stream yards together. We're gonna continue the status issue. We're gonna approach it from another different angle. So you can see a lot of different aspects of where status is. And from that point, let's go. Yeah, man. Got a lot to go over. I mean, I'm actually thinking before I get started, I'm actually thinking about doing another channel just to do Mockingbird Media in reverse. They always say, they always hit us with this reverse racism thing. Like they say, well, we're so racist and everything like that. But every time these people are up here talking, they ain't got nothing good to say about us. But how about we do this? How about we do the same thing? Let's report all of these so-called white folks, pale skins doing all this diabolical stuff. How about we do that? It'd be more like news media type thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything they do is to, defame our character. When you see a thug, you got a black man up there. When you see crime, you got black people up there. When you see something happen to a black man by the police or by anybody like this situation with Chow, for some reason, it gets spent to where there is some doubt into the innocence of that young brother or young brothers and sisters in those situations. And the other side had probable cause or felt some type of threat. I'm thinking about it because we can come back. It's, just everybody has their opinion, right? So we can view it from a different perspective. See what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. So I'm thinking about it. Another news type of media where we can actually just follow them around and what they do. What's the news reporting on these people? And we can go back to multiple individuals doing some outlandish, horrific stuff amongst in their own communities to each other. Let me know what you think. Let's get started.
Just watch what happens. Pharmacies don't like this because half their customers would disappear overnight. Grab 2 cucumbers, 1 tablespoon of raw honey, squeeze in half a lemon and a cup of cold water. Now blend that whole squad till it's smooth.
This hits your insides like a reset button you have never experienced before. It pulls inflammation out of your joints, flushes your kidneys, and drops your blood pressure naturally. I post natural remedies like this every day. Comment yes if you found this helpful, and share this with someone who needs to see it. And follow me so you do not miss the next one.
Pour raw honey on a sliced cucumber and just watch.
Good. Redlining. So, man, get in here. So y'all always see these placards, right? But y'all never ask yourself to dive deep into it And what's the secret behind it? I'm about to show you something about to blow your mind, right? Have you ever heard of these Indians, so-called on the reservations? But it's actually nothing more than a gentrified neighborhood as usual. But let me show you something that's about to blow your mind about this Indian tribe. Now, what I'm gonna need you to do is take a screenshot because one of my viewers asked me a question. They say, Getty, if y'all was here in the 1600s, whatever, 1619, whatever, y'all should have some records that show y'all was Indians getting off the so-called boat. All right, I got you. You see the Encyclopedia of Virginia. You see this Indian tribe. You see they was reclassified as free Negroes. You don't get off you don't get off a boat, come on some African, then all of a sudden you Indian. And you on the reservation? Now you African American in 2026? Stop it. But it's about to blow your mind. They call it reservations, but we call it a neighborhood. It only stopped becoming a reservation until more immigrants come, and then we gentrify the neighborhood, and we call it a neighborhood. Redlining, so-called on the reservation, right? There's always another reason why it's called a reservation. Until these phony $5 Native Americans get there, then they take the land from us, then hold it, in so-called trust, then the United States and Britain come get it, and then all of a sudden it become a neighborhood again. It's all a game. It's all a game. You see 1641, come on. The so-called came in at 1619 or 1620, whatever it is. All of a sudden, we on reservations, and then we classified as free Negroes. Man, stop. All secrets revealed. But I hope I answered your question. What's the
or anything like that. That's never the actual person that's in charge. It's always been these 13 black noble families. Always, right. Yeah. Because they consider themselves to be the real humans. They don't consider the pale-skinned person to have any kind of rights to anything. We are the creatures from the ocean. We are the ones that are lost at sea. Can you see what I mean?
Yes.
So you can see the word more in absolutely everything. More translates into teacher in Hebrew. We've discussed this, like Morisans, sons of the Moor, Mauritania, yeah, Al-Moor, yeah. It's always going to be like the symbolism is always going to be there, and we're going back to Egyptian, like an Egyptian pyramid structure. I mean, you can get pretty high, but you're never going to get to the top. But back in the early 20th century, they were still showing their faces. And then all you need to do is just create another narrative. Train someone somewhere, put them in your place, and then, because that's the game. The game is never find out who they are. And, you have to have intuition and work it out yourself. But yeah. I mean, you're not allowed to talk about Adolf Hitler, but you can talk about, like Stalin. You can talk about Lenin. You could talk about people that are responsible for a far larger amount of death and murder.
Chairman Mao, and
you can talk about Chairman Mao.
Yeah, and you're right, because I'm restricted.
But you can't talk about the black nobility. They don't like it because Hitler is far too close. They made a mistake when they chose the same name, when they chose the same symbolism, because it's the first time I think that they did it. And suddenly you realize that they had technology that they shouldn't have had, more science technology that they shouldn't have had. And I don't think they.
Now I'm coming off mute. Now look at the wall. Look at that. What is that? Now, you can also find this here in America as well. This right here, right? You got that? You got that connection. Now, you see right here at the bottom, this is supposed to be Adolf Hitler. This is supposed to be Heinrich Himmler. Now, if anybody hasn't seen the movie Schindler's List, that is not the depiction of Hitler and any other thing you see on any other channel history talking about that, because they like to have marathons on this Nazi stuff continuously. It has been continuous since the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. They always talk about that, and they still have commercials on these so-called Jewish people starving. And at the same time, we have shown plenty of evidence. We have shown plenty of videos and footages of these people doing quite well. Israel is making how much money? Israel has about how many politicians, Democrats, Republican officials in their back pocket? But at no time this is coming out. Hey, shout out to whoever declassified all this stuff, because you couldn't find it. You play this stuff 7 years ago, your whole channel gone. You flagged and censored and everything else. This is what they say. See, that guy. That's that guy. That white man kryptonite.
They controlled it very well. I think it was a badly managed world war. And it doesn't even make sense anyway. If you look at the First World War and you look at the Second World War, there's not enough time for Germany to be repopulated. And then you have people that go completely rogue, like Kanye West. He went completely rogue and starts telling everyone black Nazis, makes all these songs, right? About like Heil Hitler, all of this stuff he starts making. So you've got Hitler's HAPLAB group, which is E1B1B. I don't know why Kanye West was able to find all of that. I guess he suddenly found the connection between the Jews and the black nobility, and I think he just went, crazy. I think he was out of control. Gets it.
He went crazy when he got that information. I mean, he lost his damn mind. He lost his mind. He went all the way in. Yeah, man.
Bill or anything like that. That's never the actual person that's in charge. It's always been these 13 black noble families. Always, yeah.
Always. Now, when we get into who's running things, right, in regards to the United States, not necessarily America, who runs the United States? Who is in control of Washington, D.C., more importantly? Who's in control? Is it these people? When you think about it, in the 1900s, who was coming over here in them ships? And where was they coming from? Better yet, who was they running from? Remember Operation Paperclip, right?
Because they consider themselves to be the real humans. They don't.
All right. We'll leave that there.
Put on my hoodie for this one, y'all. Sundown towns were cities, neighborhoods where black people were not allowed to live and should not be found in after dark. A lot of people would assume that these type.
Now, this is Los Angeles County. This is just Los Angeles County.
of cities never existed in California because California has always been more progressive and more accepting. But that's not the case. California was full of sundown towns. And just because we didn't practice the same type of Jim Crow era tactics that other states did, that didn't mean that the racism, the segregation, the hate did not exist here. I put a video up earlier about Hawthorne. Hawthorne was a sundown town, and I decided to expand on that a little bit just to give everyone a little more education about Los Angeles County and where we came from. And maybe that'll help you appreciate more where we are. So I got a list of all the sundown towns that existed in Los Angeles County. Alhambra, Arcadia, Azusa, Bel Air, Beverly Hills, Burbank, Canoga Park, Chatsworth, Claremont, Compton, Covina, Culver City, Eagle Rock, El Segundo, Glendale, Glendora, Hawthorne, Hollywood, Hollywood Hills, Inglewood, La Cañada Flintridge, Leimert Park, Lomita, certain parts of Long Beach, Linwood, Manhattan Beach, Mar Vista, Monrovia, Montrose, North Hollywood, Palmdale, Palos Verdes Estates, Pasadena, Playa del Rey, Reseda, San Fernando, San Marino, Santa Monica, Southgate, South Pasadena, Studio City, Tarzana, Torrance, Tahunga, Van Nuys, Westchester, West Hollywood, Whittier, and Wilmington. Now, a lot of these places are now occupied by Black people, by brown people, by people of all colors, all ethnicities, all lifestyles. Things have changed. But the funny thing about things changing, a lot of times things change, but people don't.
That's LA County. A bunch of other counties. That's LA County. Interesting.
And she didn't know what to say.
What's going on, Tone? Tone 455, American Isness. What's going on? What's going on?
So I looked into it myself. This is a very complex topic and we're going to go deep in analysis, but stay with me. Okay, so when prisoners are talking about their sentences, they say, I'm serving 20 years for X, Y, and Z reason, which is the same verb that soldiers or people in the military use. But prisoners, who are they serving? You might think to yourself, oh, they're serving society because they're being confined and technically you're limiting danger because they're not present in the same spaces as people. But when you actually think about things from an economic standpoint, a political, a moral standpoint, this all falls apart. So the US spends over $80 billion annually on incarceration, and the average cost per inmate is about $30,000 to $60,000, depending on which state we're talking about. And here's the gag. There is no marginal benefit to society. That money isn't going to safety, rehabilitation. It's going to corporations. Essentially, prisoners make license plates, fight wildfires for $2 a day, $2 a day, and they manufacture products for companies that benefit massively. And in addition to that, private prisons need to stay full to remain profitable. At the end of the day, it's all a business. So states are going to have quotas, literal numbers that they need to meet in terms of number of prisoners. So it's kind of like, okay, we built this space and now we need more people to come in. So we're going to find these people. Angela Davis talks about this in very wise words in Are Prisons Obsolete? The main point of the book is that prisons don't serve safety. They serve capitalism, racial control, and labor exploitation. So when I think about the term serve, to me, it sanitizes an entire system of dehumanization. Think about it in relation to other euphemisms like correctional facility or rehabilitation center that ultimately conceal the very dehumanizing nature of those institutions. Prisons aren't serving society. They're actually serving a system designed to profit their confinement. I asked my Yale professor why we say prisoners serve time, and she didn't know what to say, so I looked into it myself.
We're going to come back to that. We're going to talk about this serve issue. I don't want to jump off. I want to keep on the streams. Let's keep it flowing. But that's interesting. We've talked about this, the industrial complex That was pretty good. That was a pretty good build right there.
So if you find a building and this particular building is on the historical tax register list, you can apply for 20% of free money from the state and 23% of free money from the federal government. I may have those reversed, but either way, 43% overall. And if their project is on that, you would get 43% of your project, the construction costs, free in tax credits.
Oh, wow.
And so you can take that money and sell it. You will have, let's say if you have $1 million project, and so you have $430,000 of free. You take that, you sell it to the bank, and the bank would give you 80% of that $430,000 in cash form because they want the historical tax credits.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. You can go to CPACE funding, which is anything that you put into your project that is energy efficient, and just by code, not almost everything is energy efficient, to where they would loan you 20% of the construction costs at 4% over the 4 points over the 10-year treasury note. But the point I'm making is banks will beat your door down if you're doing either one of these historical tax credits.
I do not. Please educate me.
So if you find a building and this particular building is on the historical tax register list, you can apply for 20% of free money from the state and 23% of free money from the federal government. I may have those reversed, but either way, 43% overall. And if their project is on that, you would get 43% of your project, the construction costs, free in tax credits.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to rewind this. And, you know, anybody that's listening that rock with me, we got to look into this. I'm going to reboot this, get it from the top.
I do not. Please educate me.
So if you find a building and this particular building is on the historical tax register list.
All right. Historical tax register list. Book it.
You can apply for 20% of free money from the state and 23% of free money from the federal government. I may have.
All right. So 20% from the state, 23% from the federal government. So that's 43%. Right. So you got a property that's on the historical tax register list. Free money. And it's credits. All right. New drink.
Those reversed, but either way, 43% overall. And if their project is on that, you would get 43% of your project, the construction costs, free in tax credits.
Oh, wow.
And so you can take that money and sell it. You will have, let's say if you have $1 million.
So you see what he just said, sell it. See, these are key terms that you guys got to know. Selling and buying and selling. You can sell credits. So it's like if you got an outstanding judgment and you got a judgment for $12,000, $15,000. Let's keep it on a low level. Let's say you got a judgment for $10,000. Keep a round number. You can sell that to a debt buyer at a discount. Now, if they get the $10,000 lien, right? The judgment is $10,000. They haven't got the bread yet, but they actually can get that $10,000 and they'll probably buy it to you. You could probably sell it to them at either anywhere between 40 to 60% of that. So you'll get anywhere between 4 to 6,000. They got the 10. And then, you know, they know what to do with that. So just think about it. It's not the same thing, but it's kind of identical. You're selling something to people, and that's all it's about. Debits and credits. But either way, it's still considered to be, at the end of the day, for the one that has it in their possession, it's a credit. It's a debit to somebody else, but it's a credit to you. And once you sell that, This is Boss Hog right here. This is Boss Hog. Yeah. Boss. Love it.
A project, and so you have $430,000 free. You take that, you sell it to the bank, and the bank would give you 80% of that $430,000 in cash form because they want the historical tax credits.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. You can go to CPACE funding, which is anything that you put into your project that is energy efficient, and just by code, not almost everything is energy efficient, to where they would loan you 20% of the construction cost at 4% over the 4 points over the 10-year treasury note.
CPACE. CPACE. Loans for energy efficient. So it means commercial property assessed clean energy. CPACE financing. Here we go. All right. Yeah, he on. He on.
But the point I'm making is banks will beat your door down if you're doing either one of these. Historical tax credit.
I do not. Please.
So you said banks will beat your door down. So 20% on that CPACE. So you got energy, you putting things into commercial, it'd be, commercial in nature though. You got energy efficient, you got maybe $50,000 worth of work you want to put in there. They'll give you 20% of that. So that's what, 10 grand? 10%, that's 5, another 10, that's 20, yeah, that's 10 grand. See, these are the programs that they have in place. Yeah, I'm gonna show you something else. So we bookmarked that. We're gonna look up serve in regards to what this young lady was talking about. And I'm actually show you some things I have pulled up in regards to, it's California, but you can just cross-reference those in your state in regards to funding, FHA funding that they have, FHA HUD funding that they have for Indians, American Indians, or what they would call natives as well. But they have funding for that too, and they got a lot. Let's move on. Now, this right here is dealing with, I want to kind of continue this. I want to make sure I pull in something regarding the situation that happened in South Carolina, with the young brother that lost his life behind Chow and his family, these Asians gunning him down, shot in the back, and he tripped and fell. Didn't know he tripped and fell. They tripped and fell, and they ran up on him and shot him like that. So now, when you think about this, also think about the birthright citizenship Supreme Court oral argument that we had dealing with young Kim. And you actually can go to the Black's Law Dictionary, which we're going to go to, and we're going to look up the definition of native, which actually is dealing with that same case, Wong Kim. This I found very interesting.
There's so many Chinese food restaurants in black neighborhoods. It's due to a very special type of seasoning called
racism. It's what's for dinner.
Back in 1882, the U.S. passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, banning most Chinese immigrants from entering the country. But because the government loves money, it left a loophole. If you were a laborer, no entry. But if you owned a business, you could qualify as a merchant, which meant you could stay and you could bring your family over. Then in 1915, a court ruled that owning a restaurant counted as a business. And just like that, Opening a Chinese restaurant became a one-way ticket into America. Then came a new problem in the 1960s. Basically, banks were racist as fudge. If Chinese folks wanted to open up restaurants in white neighborhoods, the answer was often no.
But because the positionality of Asian Americans is weaponized to oppress Black people, Asian Americans were being given loans to open businesses in Black communities, even though Black people were not able to receive loans to open businesses in their own communities.
Happy Black History Month, y'all. Why are there so many?
Anybody know that? Quite interesting. See, this is where you get into, if you're going to push something forward in the form of a demand or a proposal to the government in regards to reparations and restitution, it's got layers on it. The number one layer for me is to attack it in order. Right? Attack it in order. In order is everything post civil rights era, 1960s, not the 1866 or 68 Civil Rights Act, because that's a whole different kind of gamut going on. But we want to deal with the 100 years later, 1960s Civil Rights Act. And what happened after that? The peak and valley of the Civil Rights Act. What it did in the beginning, what was supposed to be set up for, what created its downfall, or what put us up under after a while. How did we go from losing our communities, having control of our communities and our neighborhoods that was, I think, specifically allotted for us, and then eventually taken from us. One of the ways it was done, because if anybody in California know, and this is where California is important, is when we started seeing a lot of these people coming in, and then you had all these different types of restaurants. So here we go. And then eventually them coming in there and then taking over because we couldn't get these loans then, or get these small business loans, or these type of loans or credits that we can start, to build these businesses as we had before. The change of everything happening, where these people started coming in, people like these Asians coming in, Chinese people coming in, and then we saw them picking up the liquor stores, gas stations, corner stores, restaurants. I mean, you got in Los Angeles a place called Louisiana Fried Chicken. The family that created Louisiana Fried Chicken sold it to Chinese people. So you go to Normandy and Western, Normandy and Manchester, Normandy and Western run parallel. They run north-south. You go to Normandy and Manchester, or, the Louisiana on King and Crenshaw, Asians run that. Now, instead of just getting chicken and fish and fries and that type of get down and your little sides, you about to get a Chinese meal in there. You're going to get some kung pao chicken and some noodles and some rice with your homemade recipe, because they sold them the recipe, Louisiana, that Louisiana fried chicken. And when you go to Normandy and Manchester, that line is around the corner. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So if you want to look it up, we can actually go to where we at here. Let me come back here while I go surfing. I'm going to pull up the video I'm gonna put that in there where we actually dealt with the boom, boom. Where we got the where's that? Here we go. What I'm gonna do is I'm taking a quick little run over here to I'm going over here to my live playlist, and I'm gonna put that birthright citizenship in there. Boom, we're gonna come down. Oh, we put in a lot of work, brother. You put in a lot of work. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Don't want that. Yep, we're gonna put this in. Yep. I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna bring this in, and we are going to deal with the birthright citizen. So let's share this. Let's add to the stage. Where are we at? Bam. So if you go right here, here's the channel. If you haven't subscribed or prescribed, I like to use the word prescribe. Go ahead. Here it is right here. This is what you see. And then we'll come down here. You see all these right here. You can click on the lives. You actually will get the too far. Yeah, right here. So we have one, my recap. You have right here, right here, right here. All these four right here. You'll see Supreme Court oral argument. You got part 2, part 3. There's one. Then we have our recap. Here's another one as well. So when you look at those, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This is very important because we get to it. What's going on, old dude? When we get to it, these, he say, hey, Rich say, yes, sir, Nordy, and Manchester chicken and fire. I know, it is. They ain't be around the corner. I'm just saying. But you go down here, you kind of see what's going on with these situations. But nevertheless, let's get back to it.
That he was raping people, brought back slaves, cutting people's nose off for gold. Oh, they don't tell you that. They also don't tell you is why, what was so important about the year 1492? Why wasn't it 1892? Why wasn't it 1792? Right? Excuse me, 1392 or 1292. Why? You know, what made 1492 so important?
Let me make sure I'm up. Make sure I'm up. Oh, dude says National Order Takeout Week and don't pick it up. You remember that? You remember that from A Living Color? Yeah. That's the first thing I thought about when you said that. But yeah, man. All right, let's get back to it.
The reason is 1492 was the actual last year when the Moors were finally kicked out of Spain.
Documents in, decisions out. Go to doculingo.com/traptalks2040 to get your 14-day free trial.
All right, so why did I play that? Well, the reason why I played that is because you have a situation. 1492 is very important, right? 1492 is Columbus. Hey, how's everybody doing? 1492 is very important based on the fact that's when Columbus had supposed to have came over here. Now, if you don't know the situation that happened in 1492, the Moorish Empire, and earlier you see I played the the one stream, the one video where the guy was talking about the Third Reich or Hitler and these people at that time, and that they are still continuance of the nobility. Now, if anybody ever watched soccer, and you see the Netherlands and a lot of these places that are not too far from Germany, there's a lot of black people over there. And I always make mention of Schrader, the dude Schrader that plays basketball. He's from the Netherlands. Schroeder, he's from the Netherlands, and that's his name. It's his family name. His complexion is dark skin, dark brown. So you would consider that he has no interruption in his family blood. And when you actually look at him, he kind of looks like Charles V. He looked like he could be a descendant of Charles V, of the Stuart family. So when you look at Schroeder, the way it's spelled in Stuart, you can kind of make that the similarities of the names being connected. Now, how all of a sudden, and when you heard this guy talking, he said that the mistake they made is they used the same names. He said that was the mistake they made. So Adolf Hitler and Heinrich Himmler were supposed to be Jews from somewhere else. They came over there. And when you look at them, you know, they had brown features everywhere across the board, face, structure, bone, everything. So if you look at it, right, you know, just thinking in my head, if you look at it from that perspective, and in the 1900s, you had the Third Reich. From this point to that, you got 1492, let's just say to 1942. That's 450 years. How all of a sudden this information is coming out, but the whole world of the Americas, or really just North America, are actually depicting Hitler as a white man, Heinrich Himmler as a white man. How are they doing that? There's another book that you should look into. The book is called The Black German Holocaust. It's a good book. Article 5 of the United States Constitution outlines the process for amending the Constitution, which includes proposing amendments by a 2/3 vote in both houses of Congress, or by a convention called for by 2/3 of state legislatures. Now, this is where the 10th Amendment comes in. And this is why you will see that a lot of these amendments and what she's talking about wouldn't be considered to be lawful, because you need the necessary 2/3 votes to be able to get some of these things in. So there you go. All right. All right, let's get back to it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right, let's go. Let me reboot this. Probably heard it, but it's better to be seen.
The banks incorporated the United States and called the United States a corporation. And when they created the District of Columbia, what they did was they put that corporation in the District of Columbia. And they said that the members of Congress were actually managers of that corporation. And they said the President of the United States was actually the president of that corporation. So we're not living in the country that we think we're living in. And what I've actually done is I have said that we are under something called state capture. And I have said that there is an interregnum. And if you look that word up, that means that we don't have a legitimate government.
Check. You know, this is my, you know how I bring these people in? This is my white people kryptonite thing. This is what they're saying. You know, when we get to talking about the system and everything, our own people get mad because we know it. But see, when you hit that white man coming up in there, that white woman coming up in there, or that foreigner coming up in there talking about this, they give it full legitimacy. Yeah. You see? So there you go. Argue with that.
And when the founding fathers wrote this Constitution, they realized that the bankers were trying to pull a fast one on us and to try to take over our governance. And so they put in a safety mechanism. And there's something called Article 5, which says that when 2/3 of the state legislatures request an amendment, that the Congress is required to convene a constitution to consider amendments. And the Congress was supposed to do that back in 1929. They've been in contempt of the American people. They haven't given us the opportunity to get our original Constitution back. They haven't even told us that we are not operating under our original Constitution. They've been lying to us. In 1871.
Okay, so if we're functioning under a corporation, what does that mean on the flip side? The flip side of things and in regards to the United States. You look at it from the whole perspective of, and let me come back over here. Let me look at the chat. Hey, what's going on? Ask Rock TV. Say, yeah, he's still on. All right. Yeah, we just getting started. Going down Stream Boulevard. Hopefully you are sharing this on your screen, your stream or your platform. And, you know, hit the thumbs up. And hopefully you have prescribed. We don't subscribe here. We prescribe. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Gives power. Now, check this out. If we are functioning from a corporate status, now there's been plenty of information that you can find any and everywhere, right? And you know why, you know, the Caucasian people are so adamant about it is because they have found out that they've been lied to as well. And they've been used as pawns to fight against the American indigenous so-called Black people under the supremacy title, white supremacy, not the supremacy clause, but white supremacy. White supremacy has knocked over the supremacy clause. The supremacy clause, in dealing with the relationships between the different entities, empires, nations, so on and so forth, is treaties and the Constitution, right? What you call your rule of law. That is also is recognized internationally, not just nationally. So, all right. So when we go into this, under this knowing of the United States being a corporation and it being moved to DC to move out of the commonwealth, I would say, of the people, in power to the people, this is what you have. Right? Another issue that she mentioned was the banks, right? So what is our central bank at this point in time? It's the Federal Reserve, in which they also call the Fed. That is not a part of the United States government. It is not. Right? Okay, so I was streaming on Instagram. So hopefully people come over from Instagram. I got to make sure they only give me like an hour or something like that. So that's kind of weak, but cool. All right. All right. No, it's cool. That's cool as Rock TV. You know, I just figured you just said, yeah, he's still on, you know. But yeah, it's all good. I took it as a compliment. But yeah, so here is where you get all these different aspects come in. And Ask Rock TV, you know, if you don't know, you know, this is how we rock over here. You know what I'm saying? We are Americans. We are indigenous. We have no history in our families that go back to a West African slave trade. We know that 1492 was the end of the Moorish Empire. Also, copper-colored, swarthy people of different hue. And what we do know is that most of the things that happened over here was told not in reverse, but actually told from a dramatic, novel, theatrical perspective. And all the things that have been told have been abbreviated in order to circumvent duties and obligation, more importantly, fiduciary duties and obligations that were set up by the people here with these 13 colonies, which then became the 13 United States, which then became the United States of America, because we figured we'll do business with you guys, not you guys, but do business with the 13 United States instead of having to deal with foreign affairs and dealing with Britain. So we had it right here. We said, okay, you guys go ahead and handle our foreign affairs for us right here. And we'll cut them out and we'll do business with you. But obviously, the 13 United States has not been able to hold down their end. So amongst all the times they had to file reorganization, Chapter 11 bankruptcies over the last 400 years. And on top of that, they had to figure out a way where they could release people in order to have them join their union. Hence the Civil War. Hence Reconstruction. Hence the Great Depression. Hence the famous Forum. Hence World War I, II, III. And we just want to kind of make sure that we correct the records on this end. Now, we're utilizing also people that actually look like from the Caucasian, European, Asian persuasion to provide not confirmation, but attachment and acceptance of what his history is and what it is not. And eventually it needs to be fixed. So just so you hear, just give you a brief summary of what we're going to be doing here. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this brother. This brother has something real nice. He has something real nice. I want you guys to check this out. This is very, very nice. I liked it. This is what I'm talking about.
Today, we established a new law. Let the historical record of Black America show that on this day, we bypassed the jurisdiction of the United States government entirely. This is the formal, sovereign ratification of our guarantees of non-repetition.
Now, be ready for this guy. I'm telling you, people are listening. Shout out to me. Pat myself on the back. Shout out to me. People are listening. It's very good. He's working on it. This is pretty good.
Section 1 audits the debt. We formally enter into the historical record a $20 trillion default of unjust enrichment, representing more than 400 years of stolen foundational capital, compounded by the deliberate dismantling of our legal protections. Section 2 dictates the mandate of systemic redress. It requires absolute restitution of stolen capital, direct financial compensation, the fully funded rehabilitation of our degraded infrastructure, the permanent historical satisfaction of the truth, and the absolute veto-proof guarantees of non-repetition.
Now, take a break. He's saying a mouthful right now. Look, that part right there is your concrete. You can't veto none of this. This is non-negotiable. What he's saying right there, this is non-negotiable. There's no veto power in this thing. You have no veto power in this I don't even call it a proposal. This is more like a notice and demand. You don't have any veto power in this notice and demand. You have to adhere to this. The other language he used is default, because he's saying a lot. I got to stop this so I can catch everything. He said default. You see what I'm saying? So if you're in default, right, if this is a default, that means that you have not fulfilled your obligation. Remember, we talk about the UCC, the USC, the CFR, all the different titles, Title 12, Title 15, UCC 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. We look at all these things, consumer law, constitutional law, common law, equal protection, and all the different aspects that come with it. If you're in default, I mean, you owe. So that means if you have a cause, this is where I say real party in interest. You have to be, in order to bring a claim, you have to be a real party in interest. And what is a claim versus, in compare and contrast to what is a complaint, a complainant, a plaintiff, and a petitioner. Claim, claimant, it's different. Now that we know that the United States of America is no longer, and we just dealing with the U.S., or what you would consider to be the United States, a corporation housed, structured, and belonging to the 10 square mile radius of what is considered to be Washington, D.C., which is actually in the middle of what you call the DMV. And, you know, we have a situation where the codes, the statutes and codes and everything, remember, Donovan versus Rodriguez, Supreme Court, Donovan versus Rodriguez. You have those, we'll just stick with that for right now, right? Statutes and codes are for who and not for who. So if you did restructure that thing, and what this young lady said, if this what she said is correct, if what she said is correct, then this right here is not far-fetched. So that means there was a contract. And if you did take out the actual Constitution and you changed it or suppressed it by putting in a central bank, which is not supposed to be a part of the original 13 United States, and I think that's where the people was running away from to set up, then that means that there's an agreement somewhere with a certain people that were already here. And if you're talking about 1492, where you had a group of people that came over into America, right? They came to America. They went three different places. They went into the Middle East, what you would consider the Middle East, Asia Minor on down. They went over to Eastern Orthodoxy of Germany, Russia, and all them places. Because if you read Pawns in the Game, you'll get a clear idea of what that means. Then also you deal with the fact that they came west. Some started setting up little colonies and stuff in West Africa, North Africa, some in the Canary Islands, and then rest of them came over here to the Americas, different places of the Americas, north from Canada on down, and the islands. So that means that these remnants of the empire that was considered to be Moorish, or the Moors, right? Or the Carthaginians, or the Phoenicians, because if this guy right here, where he at? Where he at? If this guy right here is talking about the Third Reich, just walk with me on this one. And this is in the 1900s. If he's right about that, and that's true, that's not no fake stuff, no AI stuff or anything like that, that was actually them, then that means that you're dealing with the 13, what you would consider to be the 13 noble black families. And these 13 noble black families just moved, changed locations, probably was still there, but was remixed somehow and moved and lightened up in the face of the public in order to hide something. So to get back on point, I just said that as a digression, but a sidebar to kind of tie it to this. If you're dealing with people that look like that in 1900s, the 20th century, and you're talking about the 13 noble families, what they call black nobility, then that means that everybody that came over here during that time, or what you would consider to be a white person by definition, and free white persons in the 100 years later in the 1890s, had to be black, swarthy, had to be swarthy of all various complexions. Because you see right here, if I blow this up, this is supposed to be Hitler, and this is supposed to be Heimlich Himmler. Them brothers look familiar to me. Now, if these people that came over here this whole time that was setting up these whole places, then that means that the whole North America had to look like that, from this complexion to that complexion. So as it was set up and everything was done up to the point of 1900s, and you're dealing with the Astors and you're dealing with Titanic, you're dealing with the Great Depression, you're dealing with all these different things. You have the famous forum, then, and you have these people coming over here that were supposed to be working. You remember Lerone Bennett before the Mayflower. Remember Lerone Bennett, the chief editor of Ebony Magazine and Jet Magazine, who wrote White Servitude, an article on white slavery in that magazine. Lerone Bennett. Which you, by the terms of what they use, white, right? Because you have white here in complexion, and then you have white here, which is considered to be status. It's two different things. This is why things are so confused. Then, what is the United States and their representatives actually saying? And why do they continue this? I got a lot of thoughts in my head. Why are they continuing to lie? Why do they continue to put this stuff on there? Why does Trump always say central casting? Why do politicians and people in media say bad actors? Why do they use these terms? Is it because it means exactly what it says? Actors? Enough of the soapbox. Let's get back over here.
Section 3 formally declares the United States government mathematically, structurally, and morally incapable of executing these 5 pillars. The system has chosen erasure over restitution. Therefore, we declare the establishment and permanent economic default, and the petition is officially withdrawn.
Bingo. See what I said? Claim, petition. The petition is withdrawn. So we petitioned you guys because we thought you guys had some authority. We thought you guys had some power. So what this young man is doing right here, I think he knows it, but for you guys that maybe don't know, what this young man is doing right here is he's correcting all the politicians, all these people's wrongs that was doing something before, actually begging for something. Begging. Based on the fact that these people, this is why all these black Democrats are crying and all this stuff, based on this whole voter rights bill being changed and overruled in the Supreme Court. It took away their power. But more or less, it took away their power to speak for us because they have not done their job. We gave you this voter rights bill in order to make sure that we put people in place so they have somebody that looks like them in representation. We gave you an opportunity. We kicked you out. What do you think the Black Codes has been about? What do you think Jim Crow was about? They kicked all them niggas out. All them niggas got kicked out. They all got kicked out of Congress because we was in Congress. We had Congress locked down. Article 1, the power of the purse. These people that came in and did their job or whatever to do what they wanted to do during the Civil War and Reconstruction. During the Reconstruction, new treaties happened amongst what you would consider the 5 civilized tribes, but them are the historic 5 nations that had their business with the United States, the 13 colonies. So those 5 nations was the ones that was dealing with the 13 colonies. Not everybody dealt with them. This was the whole Civil War issue. But you dropped the ball. You got greedy. You got sloppy. And guess what? They brought some more immigrants in and snatched it up from up under your feet. And then the whole time you was trying to figure out how you can get back in. Hence the new civil rights. Okay, you want back in? Cool. Come on back in. But here's how it's going to go. We have control now. We have our people with here. We have our militias. We have this thing on lock. Hence all the lynchings. Now, take that position and slightly reference the Bible where people was coming in to neighborhoods and conquering under a God, under an ideology, right? Just take that into consideration.
Section 4 executes the sovereign override. We enact the doctrine of zero dependency. We will no longer act as the captive consumer base for the institutions that engineered our exclusion. Effective immediately, we shift from external legislative dependency to internal operational execution, mobilizing a $15 billion sovereign reserve to privately fund our own repair.
Boop. Now, this is why I keep telling you guys, read Title 20. I mean, just know the 25 USC code, the 25 Code of Federal Regulations, the 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act. Read these things. Reconstruction. Just kind of know it, you know, don't gloss over it. That falls under self-determination. Self-determination connected all through the Universal Declaration of Rights for Indigenous Peoples, the United Human Rights Act. No, my bad. United Declaration for Human Rights. You also have something that is called the American Declaration of Rights for Indigenous Peoples, which the United States is one of the states that is under the OAS, the Organization of American States. Now, how is the United States considered to be a part of a state? Why is it a state? All right. We have all these things that already been set in place. But more importantly, the funds are already there. I don't know if that's the angle he's going down with this, but he's like, wait a minute, that money been there. You ain't paid it. Run it. Like, yeah. Petitions off the table. Notice and demand. You need to go ahead and send that money over right away. We'll handle ours by ourselves, and we'll figure out how things are to be set up at that time. But you will separate that in a special deposit account, separate from all your other general deposit accounts or whatever you're dealing with, so on and so forth. That means we're moving all our treasury instruments into that account. It's not just about money in the sense of what you think money is. You're talking about all Social Security accounts, all treasury bonds, anything that is connected with our name, all applications, letter of credits, everything that we have put our energy into, DD-214s, military, whatever it might be, employee ID numbers, whatever it might be, all of that gets moved. It's kind of like what you would consider to be your Freedmen Bureau all over again. And then all the banks connected to that. All of our assets are to be transferred and moved. You no longer get to have any, equity or any beneficial interest or any power of attorney or any other form of fiduciary relationship, even better, with us at all. The only problem we're going to have is this goddamn word. This is the only thing we're going to have a problem with. Black. So somebody needs to clarify what that means, where it came from, how it stands, and that's not the foundation of nothing. It is a prerequisite for the establishment of it based on the term being used in the public. So we're going to have to be able to discern these words, make sure they line up. And as I said, American, indigenous, people, then known as Indian, copper-colored, Negro, black, colored, African American, all within a suspect classification in order to do what? Discriminate, suppress, oppress, be able to move, not saying it like that, being able to usurp and move. See what I'm saying? Like that type of thing. What did he say? As soon as you went on live on YouTube, it stopped going live on Instagram. Oh, yeah. Well, it told me to do that. It told me to do that. Yeah, it told me to do that online on Instagram. I'm going to do that on Instagram. That's crazy. Yeah, so, but, hey, that is going to be the only issue. Well, we're black. Well, we're going to have to come to the table. And all the people, you know, like Judge Joe Brown, who takes a lot of credit for that term being created in Los Angeles, in California. These elders that are still here is going to have to come and, I mean, not by force, but by the simple point of you're talking and you're taking credit for a lot of stuff. And you like to use the word black folk. And you like to use the word black and Negro and colored and all these things and all the other stuff that took place and the civil rights and all the mechanics of operating within the United States and bringing us in and civil rights. You're going to have to come to the table. These elders are going to have to come to the table. And all these people are now in their 70s. So if you live it, you need to come sit down at the table. And you're going to have to explain all of this, how it ties in, and who we're connected to. And you're going to also have to explain the African situation. And if you're not saying anything, and this is me, if I'm sitting there, if you're not saying anything outside of, yeah, we're the Moors that came over here. I'm claiming my Moors descent over here. This is why I was able to get into these clubs and still have some positions here based on the fact that I know who I am from that, and I know the relationship. You got to bring it because everybody right now is speculating. Nobody knows. Nobody was there. So these people are going to have to come sit at the table. I mean, hey, you lived high off the hog for a lot of years, man, at least 40 of them. Anybody and everybody that might be listening later or not listening at all, but, you know, you lived pretty good for a good 40 years. I'm giving you 30. So you at 30, you finished school, whatever, or, you know, you pretty much got into your spot and you've been good ever since. So 40 years. And in 40 years, you learn a lot. And the 40 year is very good. It's very ancient in terms of where you reach a point of knowing and being able to, know thyself, right? So, apologize for going long on that. Let's get back to it.
We do not petition for its inclusion. We mandate its execution. This is the 29th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. Today, we establish.
Now, I'm going to let him go through all of this uninterrupted. But he is proposing this as the 29th Amendment. I mean, but at the end of the day, if you go back to all these amendments that was put in, all these amendments haven't been put in lawfully. If what she said and what this guy said is correct. If this is a brother that is supposed to be Hitler in the 19 teens into the 40s, World War I and World War II, we got a lot to talk about. And if she said what she said in regards to 1871, that is the creation of the United States Corporation in Washington, D.C., then we're gonna come back and listen to her again. And I want to tie it to him. That's why I saved him for last.
Establish the new law. Let the historical record of Black America show that on this day, we bypass the jurisdiction of the United States government entirely. This is the formal, sovereign ratification of our guarantees of non-repetition. Section 1 audits the debt. We formally enter into the historical record a $20 trillion default of unjust enrichment, representing more than 400 years of stolen foundational capital, compounded by the deliberate dismantling of our legal protections. Section 2 dictates the mandate of systemic redress. It requires absolute restitution of stolen capital, direct financial compensation, the fully funded rehabilitation of our degraded infrastructure, the permanent historical satisfaction of the truth, and the absolute veto-proof guarantees of non-repetition.
All right. I know y'all need to absorb all that, but I'm gonna put this link in there. So if anybody interested, follow this guy. Check him out. Check him out. See what he talking about. Check him out. None of your business. Get this guy out. See what he talking about. All right.
Section 3 formally declares the United States government mathematically, structurally, and morally incapable of executing these 5 pillars.
I'm sorry, I got to stop it right there. I want you guys to catch that, what he just said. Yeah, that was powerful. Morally incapable. Gee.
The system has chosen erasure over restitution. Therefore, we declare the establishment and permanent economic default, and the petition is officially withdrawn. Section 4 executes the sovereign override. We enact the doctrine of zero dependency. We will no longer act as the captive consumer base for the institutions that engineered our exclusion. Effective immediately, we shift from external legislative dependency to internal operational execution, mobilizing a $15 billion sovereign reserve to privately fund our own repair. We do not petition for its inclusion. We mandate its execution. This is the 29th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America.
All right. We got to go back and we got to listen to her. That 29th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That's the only thing I really got a problem with. And this is why.
One, the banks incorporated the United States and called the United States a corporation. And when they created the District of Columbia, what they did was they put that corporation in the District of Columbia. And they said that the members of Congress were actually managers of that corporation. And they said the President of the United States was actually the president of that corporation. So we're not living in the country that we think we're living in. And what I've actually done is I have said that we are under something called state capture. And I have said that there is an interregnum. And if you look that word up, that means that we don't have a legitimate government. And when the founding fathers wrote this Constitution, they realized that the bankers were trying to pull a fast one on us and to try to take over our governance. And so
now, if she's saying, if what she's saying is correct, this 29th Amendment to the Constitution of what? You see what I'm saying? If you're on self-determination, self-governance, all the different things that self-determination comes under, why do you want to attach it to that? Why would you demand something? You said a mandate. A mandate or mandamus is short for mandatory. That means that when you do a mandates, that means a superior. You're talking superior, prescribed from superior position, not an inferior position. That's why the petition is off the table, because they're not superior, because they cannot execute what they promise. So if they can't execute what they promise, they have no superior position to do anything. Anything, right? Listen, you guys hearing what I'm saying? Why would you attach, if she's right, why would you attach something like that? Why would you do that? Why would you attach something like that that's powerful to the United States Constitution, which has no validity? She's pretty much saying that this United States, that reconstruction and all that stuff, pretty much destroyed the United States and is foreign occupied. We have a bunch of foreigners that are running the United States, correct? Yes. Immigrants, ran by immigrants who have no power whatsoever. And then we actually are dealing with this situation, right? This situation. Let's go back here. Dealing with this situation.
Don't consider the pale-skinned person to have any kind of rights to anything.
Let me reboot it.
Thing like that. That's never the actual person that's in charge. It's always been these 13 black noble families. Always, right. Yeah. Because they consider themselves
always. Blow it up. There you go. That's who talking. That guy. Now, I'll give you a brief background on these 13 noble families from my perspective and my research. These 13 noble families are what you consider to be connected to Ishmael, because Ishmael had 12 princes. And when you have 12 princes and you still have the head, you have the father, you have the head, or the patriarch of that family. So you have 13. You also have what is considered to be the book called the 13th Tribe. But that aside, the Phoenicians come from the Canaanites. The Canaanites are what you call Hannibal's people. You put a C in front of it. I'm about to play word games with you guys right now. Hannibal, or what you would call Canaan Ball, right? What was the name of the chief, what they would call the chief god of the Phoenicians? Baal. Baal. B-A hyphen A, not hyphen, asterisk A-L. Okay? Just be patient. So Hannibal's people, in the language of what we know as all the Hebrew ancient languages that you have, if you see a H, there is a K in front of it. It's either a K or a C. Like when you see Ham in the Bible, is actually Kim or Cam. So you just know that. All right. So just to give you guys a quick one. Take it as I give it. You can throw it away if you want. But under the circumstances, the Phoenicians are the 13 families. Those are the Phoenicians. That is Hannibal's people. The Carthaginians. You got Finnish people. F-I-N-N-I-S-H. Who are those people? Phoenicians. You have the Punic Wars. What was those Punic Wars? What is Punic? Punic dealt with the Phoenicians. Who was in that war and who started the war? The Carthaginians. Who was fighting them? The Romans. Romulus and Remus. What else did you get right there? What was called Iliad and the Odyssey. You have that book, Iliad and the Odyssey. That was the creation of what you consider to be Rome at that time. I think it's Rome, Greece, and all those things that was connected together. Who are the main people, what you would call the Vikings or the Six Kings, or the Danes? Those are the Danites. Those people are connected to that same group that moved up after you get into the wars that you have prior to the big wars. So I'm just giving you an example. Because some people was here, I'm going to repeat myself what I said earlier because there really wasn't nobody here. But when 1492 happened, where did these people go? Germany. The Netherlands, Asia Minor, the Middle East, West Africa, Canary Islands, and the Americas. Some of the people stayed, right? So you had these mixed group of people at that time that the Moors were intermixing with, because a lot of the pale skins, they was pulling up out of the what you would consider the dark side of the Caucasus Mountains in order to help them fight wars. Eventually, they started mating with them and all this stuff. And then you had a new group of people coming out that actually rebelled against them. That is what you would consider to be the Roman Empire. But they still have people on that side, because the first Roman Empire, the first pope, I would say, the first pope in the Roman emperor was, what was his name? Sylvester. Pope Sylvester. Pope Sylvester was a brother. The Council of Nicaea, you're talking about 325 BC, 340 something BC, was a council of all brothers. Right? Had to be. If you're saying that these people have already never left, said always been. People thought the Pope bending over and kissing those brothers that them African feet was a stage play. No, it wasn't. That was no stage play right there. That was real. Those are your nobilities right there. People think the Africans is nothing but booty scratching people. No, they're not. You remember Idi Amin, the movie? Last king of Scotland. Remember that? All right. Things are being played in front of your face, but what they always do is they put a shadow around that whole story, which is these pale skins. And that's how you get to miss what's actually going on. Let's continue.
To be the real humans. They don't consider the pale-skinned person to have any kind of rights to anything. We are the creatures from the ocean. We are the ones that are lost at sea. Can you see what I mean?
Yes, yes.
So you can see the word more in absolutely everything. More translates into teacher in Hebrew. We've discussed this, like more sons of the more, Mauritania, yeah, Almore, yeah. It's always going to be like the symbolism is always going to be there, and we're going back to Egyptian, like an Egyptian pyramid structure. I mean, you can get pretty high, but you're never going to get to the top. But back in the early 20th century, they were still showing their faces.
You guys heard that, right? You guys heard that, right? In the 20th century, they were still showing their faces. What are they showing us on TV? Those faces right there, for those people just getting there, that's Hitler and Heimlich. That's Adolf Hitler and Heimlich Himmler. Is what he's saying. He is saying that these two people are Hitler and Himmler. Schindler's List. Anybody watch that? Schindler's List. Ain't nothing looking like that in that movie. Nothing. Not in there. Not in there. Nothing looking like that. But he is saying they still were showing their face in the 20th century. So that means all of these people have been complicit in lying. Why? Why was they doing that? The reason why is because America had a lot of power. And they had to dupe us into something in order to help them survive. Because they were extinguishing it, all of them. All of them. They was getting rid of them for whatever reason. But guess who came over and won the war and was able to get him out of position? They had to get black people from America to go over there and fight. That's why when Hitler said, why are you fighting a war for him? This ain't your war. Hitler said that to him. This is not your war. Why are you over here fighting us? And a lot of black people that came back from that war never forgot that. So this is why you have a lot of people like Clayton Powell and all them so-called people that get in positions. This was their hush money. Yeah, we're going to give you what you want. Don't say nothing. We got you. So now we didn't give you an offer. You can't refuse. Now you're in. Because contrary to popular belief, just like in Vietnam, a lot of people didn't even come back. Or they came back and got their paperwork together and they bounced based on what they saw over there. Let's listen to some more.
And then all you need to do is just create another.
Yeah, buddy.
The narrative. Train someone somewhere, put them in your place, and then, because that's the game. The game is never find out who they are anymore.
Now, why are these people hiding? Why are these people hiding? Why did they put these people in front? Why did they do that? That's a whole nother conversation. I don't have the answer. I don't know if anybody got that answer. Maybe they got the answer. Because even he is still talking servant. He said that, but he said put other people in position and hide these. How was they able to do that? See, this is the thing about North America. One brother has said, I would say, I think Dane Calloway said it one time. I was watching. He was doing some of these Easter egg things, and he was showing what the History Channel looks like over here versus what it looks like in another country. They talking a whole different conversation over there versus what they doing over here. North America is an island. Like the Americas is like Paradise Island all over the place. That's why it's surrounded by bodies of waters. You got to get on the water to get over here. And for the most part, our whole wave line of things, and this is the one thing I say that's good about these social media streams, is now we can look and see what's going on in other countries. Because back then we had ABC, NBC, CBS, Channel 31, Channel, Fox, Channel 40. We had all these different, we had those specific channels. And even when you get into the cable channels, the History Channel, National Geographic, and then I forgot about PBS too as well. I mean, they were just talking everything they talked had a white narrative to it. Everything. Even the cartoons had us looking crazy. Had us looking crazy. Everything. They've been doing that since the 60s and the 50s and the 60s. Everything that they put on their tubes was pretty much something that made us look wild and made them look superior.
You have to have intuition and work it out yourself. But yeah. I mean, you're not allowed to talk about Adolf Hitler, but you can talk about
Well, let's finish this out.
Like Stalin. You can talk about Lenin. You could talk about people that are responsible for a far larger amount of death and murder.
Chairman Mao, and
you can talk about Chairman Mao.
Yeah, and you're right, because I'm restricted.
But you can't talk about the black nobility. They don't like it because Hitler is far too close. They made a mistake when they chose the same name, when they chose the same symbolism, because it's the first time I think that they did it. And suddenly you realize that they had technology that they shouldn't have had, more science technology that they shouldn't have had. And I don't think they controlled it very well. I think it was a badly managed.
So now we know for a fact that we can actually look up that so-called swastika symbol, which is also you can find in Buddhism, right? In China, in ancient China, where that is considered to be the swirling sun. That is a representation of the sun. We can also find it here in America. We can also find the Ankh, the symbol of the Ankh here in America. We can find all these things here in America. So the connection is absolutely phenomenal in the connections of everything. Let me go ahead to the chat real quick. Let me go back to my screen. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Who's here? My brother, great Monday to you, man. What's happening? It's Naughty Ross, Naughty on the scene. What's going on, my brother? I think I'm gonna start using that one when we get to the panel. What's real? I like that. Tommy. Yeah. So, in the meantime, let me pull this up real quick. We got a couple things we want to get to. We have over here, what we're going to do is we're going to call this the prescribed channel. The prescribed channel. Not the subscribe channel, but the prescribed channel. All right. I'm going to remind you guys of what the definition of prescribe is. It brings power to the issue. Right? But when the young lady was talking about serving time, okay, serve, and by definition, serve by definition, in Scotch practice to render a verdict or decision in favor of a person claiming to be an heir, to declare the fact of his heirship judicially. A jury are said to serve a claimant heir. A jury are said to serve a claimant heir. Wow. Woo. That's something right there, Nutty, to serve a claimant heir. I'm going to take that literally. I'm not even going to hypothecate that. Say, when they find him to be heir upon the evidence submitted to them. So if I present something to the jury showing that I am an heir, I have evidence, I bring my claim, I show evidence that I am an heir. The jury is to serve me and nobody else. But then we have the grand jury. They have these secret grand juries, and we already know that they supposed to be juries of your peers or whatever it might be, but you actually have juries that actually work against you. So is the court, is the judge, is the attorney, is everybody saying that they're the heirs and you are to serve them? Interesting. Let's talk about service. Service has a variety of meanings dependent upon the context or the same sense in which used. Let's go here. Contracts, the being employed to serve another, duty or labor to be rendered by one person to another. Former being bound to submit his will to the direction and control of the latter. The act of serving, the act of serving. The labor performed or the duties required. Occupation, condition, or status of a servant. Performance of labor for benefit of another or at another's command. Attendance of an inferior. Hired helper, slave. Service and employment generally apply that the employer or person to whom the service is due both selects and compensates the employee or person rendering the service. The term is used also for employment in one of the offices, departments, or agencies of the government. Uh-oh. So we have employees. That's an employment. As in the phrases civil service, public service, military service. Clip that. Clip it. Domestic. We don't want that. Feudal law. We don't want that. Practice. The exhibition or delivery of a writ. Notice, injunction by an authorized person to a person who is thereby officially notified of some action or proceeding in which he is concerned and is thereby advised or warned of some action or step which he is commanded to take or to forbear. So why do they ignore? So my question would be, I'm just throwing this out there, it's kind of rhetorical right now. Why are they ignoring injunctions when somebody files an injunction as a claimant, right? As a claim. And you say, hey, I've been injured. Here's the evidence. I need a temporary injunction at this time so we can get some clarity. It's just temporary. Provide the injunction. Why do those things get denied? In the meantime, they should be automatic. Interesting. Now, we're going to go to prescribed. Prescribe. That is 1421. So we prescribe here. Bam. Prescribe, to assert a right or title to the enjoyment of a thing on the ground of having hitherto had the uninterrupted and immemorial enjoyment of it. So, being on YouTube, hey, it's free. Do what you do. You prescribe to it. You have a right. You have title to it. It's a good thing. To lay down authoritatively as a guide, direction, or rule. To impose as a peremptory order. To dictate, to point, to direct, to give as a guide, direction, or rule of action. So we prescribe here. All right. Now, here's what we got going on. Yep. What's going on, Rich? I mean, not Rich. Rod. That's Rod Will. Chief I Am. What's going on, man? Yo, hit the panel, man. I'm done talking. Hit the panel. I don't know if Nadi can hear me. We are on.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. So, it's interesting. I mean, I wasn't really going down that avenue, but I went down that avenue and it took me there. So, I mean, this guy was that dude was pretty much kind of matter of fact in regards to who Hitler was. Heinrich Himmler. Brothers right there. You know? I mean, we deal with status of everything. So my question to you, could status also be contrived or plagiarized based on a narrative?
Yeah. That's how they the Jewish is has the place of the Israelite or the Hebrew. Because they're doing status forgery. That's why they put Israel where Israel is at today, and so they can do a status hijack and put the scriptures where it's located, where their dominion is. Their identity of dominion.
Okay.
If it had to put it over here in the Americas, it'd have been different. They wouldn't have been able to claim that. But by them taking the identity, putting the name as Hebrew or Jewish, all that crazy shit, that fucks it up. That throws it off. Change up the whole dynamics of the status. They created a new one, a new status now.
Right. I just had a crazy thought on this one. And I went up to act, right? So I'm gonna act right now. So we got act here. And could it just be something, you know how they say a lie repeated over time becomes truth? Is it something like that? How does that go? Something like that.
Tell a lie enough, it'll sound true after you tell a lie enough time.
Right. There you go. Now, if we're looking at an act and just everything that these people have done over this time could just been theater. Like they really didn't believe it. Or maybe it wasn't meant for us. It was just meant to empower these pale skins over here to some in order to get them to have the courage to come against us. You know, like they knew it wasn't true. but they wanted them to you put it in the movies, you put it in the screens and all this stuff. You have all these different narratives, and it's repeated over and over and over and over again. You're like, maybe it wasn't. Oh, maybe it wasn't meant to be true. It was meant to mechanize people to have the courage to battle or something like that. I don't know, man. That's why I said it's a crazy thought. It's a crazy thought. Like they know it's not true. So could be no. I mean, the History Channel, National Geographic, PBS, all these different movies they play are nothing but just that. Movies. Yeah, Birth of a Nation. Yep, Birth of a Nation. Just movies, like cinema. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Let me show you something though.
All right.
They took the name Hebrew and hid it. Took the name Moor and hid it so it can I erase the identity of the ones that covered their head. The head coverers. Or the okay, so the Moors used to have a hairstyle like the Indian, or what we call Indians. This is what I'm trying to say. They hid the name Moor in Hebrew and rechanged the name to the people over here as Indians to get rid of that, hide that identity. People really was identifying as Hebrews and Moors. There was a time before they right wrong when they did the Black Mentos, the land was populated with head people that wrap their heads in a Hebrew site, the people of the land. The Moors, or when you see their hair, the people of the land hair, it was favor feathers. It wasn't feathers, it were favor feathers because the locks on their head would grow into a style of feather, or they would braid their hair into a style that it was looking like it was a hairdress. We used to do our hair in this way. The Moors
Yeah,
took
see, I
that.
thought the same. See, I thought, man, I used to say that too. I was like, nah, man, that's his hair. I
Yeah,
said,
right. It's not
I
a
used to do the
feather.
same thing, man. I'm glad you said that though, for real.
Right. It's not a feather. Every now and then we might throw a piece of feather up in your hairstyle or on your bandana that was matching the color of your fringes, but it wasn't no goddamn war bonnets and shit. That shit is some made up shit to identify with the Western cowboy and Indian. That shit coming out of Arab. That's that Arab shit. Tent making and all of that. That's Arabs. And that shit was brought in at a later time here in this land.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Just real quick. I mean, it's even going back to the fezzes and everything. I think these were people that had to create these hats, and it goes back to these movies. You remember what's her name? The old movie they had with Ben-Hur and all that stuff, where they had these they wearing these hats and stuff like that. I said, man, it's like they had to create these things in order to what you call like mimic or mock it to have a representation of that. You know what I mean?
Yep. Being like you just said, being
Oh, right.
represent.
That code right there, Nutty. I said, man, I always thought that shit too. I said, nah, that's here.
But see, all these true Indians that's calling themselves Indians, they would know these things. They would be preaching these things. They would be, and I ain't trying to get on nobody. But again, that's fake. The Indian, the whole identity of an Indian was created for the Irish Iberians. That's who was in representation, even when they was fucking with in Alaska. I brought this question around. Russia, the Alaskas used to be Russia. You remember this, right?
Right. Yeah.
Alaskans used to be Russians, and Russia gave their land to America, which is past the points of Canada. Why now all of a sudden are they identified as American Indians?
Oh no.
But it's Russia. They was
Yeah.
once Russia. You
Yeah.
see how the game flipped up now?
Yeah.
All right, now we trying to run around and take on this identity, and it's not our identity. The word Indian is not for us. They claim they actually had us enslaved under their territorial rule. People got to understand that when your people came up out of that territorial identity from the United States identifying the Indian territory, and they made supposedly had made treaties and things of this nature with these colonizers. It wasn't us.
Mm.
The treaties wasn't for us. We weren't even identifying as no goddamn Cherokees. And the people that's coming up out of the south, coming through the south, coming in with an identity as the Ataz Mayans or Mayas. Attack Mayas. ITAC. ITAC Mayans or Mayas.
Yeah. I heard of that. I heard of that.
The
That's
whole
interesting.
Creek Nation was full of Arawaks, Aztec Mayas, and these names came in at a later identification as the territory was putting everyone under the Indian identity was putting everyone under a territorial rule, and started mocking the names and claiming the names to be of this and this and this. But I got evidence to show. Anyway, that wasn't our name, bro. We wasn't going with that bullshit. That's-
Interesting.
when you hear the French and Indian Wars,
Mm-hmm.
first thing a motherfucker be thinking is, oh yeah, the French and the Indians had a war against each other. No, 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 no. The colonizing Indians, bro, and the French had an agreement, and they fought against the British.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And everyone got a story in their family. Is my grandmother or my great grandmother or my great great grandmother or grandfather was an Indian. We we all have that background in the story. Even my whole identity of an island of my islands are West Indies.
Right.
We identified as the West Indians. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's absurd to be thinking I will be talking shit about my own identity, but I'm letting you know that it's not created by me. It's just placed on me to be up under a structure
Yeah. Yeah.
of
That's what
commerce.
that's what I'm saying. It's like we know them people here they stalled us, and in order for them to get any type of recognition or any like power or strength behind them, they had to find a way to incorporate us into those words. I don't think none of them words apply to us, but they apply them to us. You know what I'm saying? That's how I come out. I mean, yeah.
And then
If
we
you
take
said
on the
she will,
names. Right.
yeah. Because my mom, Eddie, she don't use the term Indian. They in Oklahoma, they apply them Indians to them native people. They say they Indians. We Blackfoot over here. we Seminole.
Right. Do you be calling right.
We
Right.
don't. He said they call them Indians.
But
I'm
see, even
like,
them
what?
Seminole and Cherokee, them all made up names too under that structure. Them names are something to place in the jurisdiction of the United States. Because the United States is who defining what that is.
Yeah, I got an interesting family history, man. It's interesting, and it's intriguing And it gets confusing. And more I look into it, shit confusing as hell. What's up, Chief?
Hey, yo, peace.
What
Man.
up, man?
What's
What up?
going on, eh?
Hey, man, you know, we come in peace and they leave in pieces, man. You know, shout out to you, Naughty, man. It's a good feeling to hear you finally speak the truth that has been so long without discovery. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get back to Genesis, the 10th chapter, man, the table of nations, man. These incorporated nations.
Chapter, God.
Yeah, man, these incorporated nations, that's what got y'all confused.
Yeah.
That's what got our people confused.
That's right.
Me and mine as well, you know what I mean? They incorporated everything, man. Yo, when you get down to the culture, when you go like between the taboos and the different headdresses that, like you were just speaking of, man, it's very clear who these people are. You know, when you get into the language, customs, it's very clear. But you know, I know you ain't calling out people, man. I'm a man. People like Top Cat, man. He's showing the people. He's showing the people fruits of lies, man.
Yeah.
He's pulling from the fruit of the poisonous tree, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, man, we gotta
It's
get
ridiculous.
back.
It's a shame. It's a shame that the intellectual study wasn't really honest and
Nah, man, they on the money grab.
professed.
Yeah, that's all
Professed.
they on. Is they on a money grab, man. Tell these people what they want to hear, man. Give them nice and soft words. Don't speak to them truth, right? So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I understand the whole Indios, the children of God, angle, but that's a byword,
Right.
Man. It's no differently than black, African, colored, Negro. These are all bywords, man. So, yeah, man. Once we get back to the language, the jurist part of diction, right? The jurist, which is the law of the word, right? That's what jurisdiction means, the law of the word. Once we start to embrace that a little bit more, we'll be able to see through the minutia and the spells as well as the magic, right? I'm gonna start using words like that, like spells and magic more, because we don't believe that magic still exists. We think we're so technologically sound that they could not be using spells, enchantments over us, right?
Well, I can't really use it as the spells because that put it in a magical format and it kind of pushed people to not really accept the real. You know what I'm saying? So I try to base it down to a more psychological term, something like cognitive atrophy.
Or dissonance.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it could be more subtle and acceptable for a person to be able to really catch on to what I'm trying to give to them. You know what I'm saying? When I go to give it them about the majestic part of this conversation, which might be esoteric, right? You have people want to push that off, even in a religious format. Again, mystical or magical type of sense. They well, not even magic. If I give it to them in a mystical way, they automatically think it's magic or put it in some magical format. Because the mind is, like I said, cognitive atrophy. I can't really explain it no other way, bro.
Hey, look, I'm gonna call it what it is, cause they use magic on us, man. it's dark magic too, right? It's wordplay, it's spells, it's paragraphs. You know what I mean? Like when you break down these words, man, they don't mean what we think they mean, man.
Yeah,
Sentences. You know what I mean? Like, come
yeah,
on, bro. Like,
yeah.
we gotta. If everybody's claiming to be these higher beings, we gotta go.
Citizen
Right.
means city, property of the city. That's what that means. Property of the city. God damn. We don't understand what the fuck going on. Yeah, them words, them wordplay, man. You're right. All right, my brother.
Now I want to, we was talking about the hats versus the hair and the feathers. Now I pulled this one up. I gotta stop my screen, but I'm gonna blow this up right here. Now, would you consider this to be hair or a hat?
Air. That's air, man.
That's hair.
Yeah.
Cornrows. Them is
Yeah.
long locks, cornrows. And they want to make they they put in the movies, the old Ben-Hur movies, the Ten Commandment, all that type of stuff. That's some damn chin piece, like a chin strap or some shit like that. That's hair.
Man, look where his staff is. Where the staff meets the shoulder, right up under that piece is his hair. You can see it's tie up. Like one lock is tying it up in a knot. You see it right there.
Right there. Right
Look look how it roll up. Look how it's roll to the side. Like you take your locks and wrap them. You understand?
That's it. I mean, I was looking for the other one because the Moors they like to connect it to what was the I can't find the statue of the guy that had red. He had like a flat top. You know what I'm saying? Had a straight flat top, and his sideburns was red too. He said that was that's a fez. I said, man, that ain't no damn fez. Fez don't look like that.
Yeah, that was the fez. That was the hairpiece, bro.
That was the hairpiece. And you go back, you can look at some of them Nubians, like them even them Eritreans and stuff like that. The way I got some Eritrean people I knew, Southern California, they wear their hair just like them pharaohs. And you have some that, I mean, they got the flat top with the Gumby, the Gumby with the little slope and all that. And these are African people. I was like, these cats bring the same hair, but these are hairs that's connected, and then they put compare them natural right there today, and then they showing all these statues. I said, come on, man, that's hair.
The Sudanese, the Eritreans, the
There you go.
Ethiopians, all them are our people, bro.
Yeah.
Direct descendant.
That's hair. That's it. You ain't telling me that fez is nah.
Direct descendant. Those are our people. When you hear the term Nubian, that was actually identified as the people here on this land, and it's gonna hold dearly to the Sudanese that still today is representing the culture and identity of the American Indian. The height, the stature, the build is of our trait. Let me show you something else. How they prevented our height and put a stagnant on our build and height here in the Americas as melanated Nubian people. Because I ain't gonna get into that because I can't pull that up for you right now. But it's hidden. It's hidden. But we was known as Nubians over 100 and some thousand years ago. The Nubians and the Moors been running through these lands for over 100,000 years. And the Americans at one point, the melanated Americans, was identified as Nubian. And the Africa, what you call Africa today, was identified as the land of Nubia, was under the control of the Nubians. That goes back with the story with Queen Khalif or Queen of Queen of Sheba, or Queen of the land of Ker, Kur, Kur. That's gonna be, which is the land of gold. It translated into the land of gold. All this was America, bro. And the identity of Solomon and Queen of Sheba, that whole story was manufactured. The truth behind that story, that it was a law of Solomon. There was many Solomons in this time period. It was coming up off of the Christianity site, between the Greeks identifying with the Christianity and the North Africans putting it in off of their basis of a traditional story of Adam and they made up Eve, but there was some queen and king over in Africa. It's a fable, like Queen Nancy and all of them things. That's where them things come from. So no, the Queen Caliph was ruling over the land of Nubia, which you see now as Africa. It was once called Akabela. Her father was the general running the land Ethiopia. Even Africa was identified as Ethiopia one time. So her father was running Ethiopia, and her brother was the general of what you would call Europe today. I got something. Let me put something in the back, so we won't be so. Let me give you a little quick little read, right quick. You can pull up. Hold up. Man, trying to find that dang old statue. Hey, where's she at? I'm looking for that sister with that flat top. I mean, in Ancient Aliens, they try to say this brother was an alien and shit. I said, boy, that's a straight brother right there. Easy. Where is she at? Where is she? There she go. See, right here. See, they trying to make that look like a hat. Ain't no hat. Impossible. And that's even better right there. That's even better right there. Big time. Where it at? Where it at? All right. Let's go over here to the other part. Man, it's hard at this point in time. I mean, we see the Mayans and how they look. Olmecs, we see how they look. You see the back of the statues, they got braids, cornrows. That's without a doubt. Let's go over here to the Pinterest one. Let's go over here to the Pinterest one. Yeah, look at these. Look at that. That's hair. Look at that. Color in their hair. Look at that. You know what that is. Look at that. Look, she got blue eyes. Look at that. That's hair. Now you could go, books I recommend as well. They like to say those are mythological books. Look at that. Queen Mu.
It's a good book. Saying nothing new on the sun. You look at her from the side.
That's what they would call her too, Queen Moo.
Queen Moo. Now you look at her from the side. Don't she look like that sister from what was that movie? The movie Ice Cube made. She looked like that girl right there. She played in Friday too with Ice Cube. She played Ice Cube's sister. Them tight eyes that she got right there look like her. You know? That's hair. That's hair. That's hair. Not helmets. See this right here. You can see this in Nubia too today. You talk about I seen pictures of them. They wear their hair just like this right now. I mean, and you talking about they ain't got clippers. They ain't got clippers like we got here. And that hair would be lined up perfectly.
Pull it up, I put in the back chat, bro.
We got people that I got you. We got people that live next door. They are I don't think they Fiji, they something. But man, the women, they come out that house, they afros be straight, and we caught them in the backyard. They cut their hair with what? 12-inch knives, like small machetes. You will see them, they cutting their hair. I mean, and the shit be so perfect. They don't use nothing. They even cut the grass with machetes. It's crazy. All right, let me pull this up. Now, you talk about a cat that'll cut your head off with no problem. Yeesh. Is it up?
Yeah.
All right, so what we got here is the Americas Revealed, unraveling the past of the Americas while preserving the past for the future. Top. Right here, let me big this up a little bit. All right. So we got that. The Tougaloo Stone, Stevens County, Georgia.
Tagula. Tagula. Tagula.
Okay. All right. This symbol is thought to mean a comet in Northwest European Bronze Age art. These symbols appear on most petroglyphs in northern Georgia. These symbols also appear on the right. That was to the left, to the right. It says these symbols also appear on the Track Rock, Westmoreland, and Forsyth petroglyphs in northeast Georgia, USA, and the Nyköping petroglyphs in southeast Sweden. So we got Sweden.
Southeast Sweden. We finna get to it. We finna get to it in a minute. And we could keep reading.
Damn. Okay, this shit is kind of identical. I see that. This kind of look like a ship or a boat or something. All right. So tribal members of the Creek Confederacy with water or ocean in their name. The Origins of the Chickasaw and Creek Peoples, Part 4 by Richard Thornton, architect and city planner. Several tribes that joined the Creek Confederacy have names that mean such things as sea people or water people. Their migration legends have them crossing large bodies of water to reach the Creek homeland, which is now the state of Georgia. Obviously, they did not cross over a land bridge from Siberia. The Tougaloo Stone. The Tougaloo Stone is one of the most important pre-Columbian artifacts in the Americas, but it is little known outside of Stevens County, Georgia, where it is on display. Most of the relatively few tourists who have seen the Tougaloo Stone assume it was made by the Cherokees. Ironically, it is absolute proof that the explorers or traders from several parts of Europe visited the Savannah River Basin in ancient times. 4 types of European Bronze Age boats are displayed on the sides of the rock. Wow. Virtually any graduate of high school in Sweden, Denmark, or Norway would instantly recognize these symbols as belonging to the Scandinavian Bronze Age or early Iron Age. Okay. In fact, when I first sought help in translating the Tuvalu stone from professors at Lund University, where I attend classes in medieval Swedish history, ancient Swedish history, and historic preservation while working in nearby Landskrona. The professors angrily demanded that the engraved stone be immediately returned to Sweden from where it was obviously stolen by a tourist or art thief. It took me several weeks to convince them that this was an artifact found in the state of Georgia. Wow. All right. Let's see if we can get to some other stuff.
Yeah, go ahead and go up. That's just giving you a synopsis of the author. But keep going. He's a qualified historian, but keep going, 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 keep going. Keep all right. No, keep going, keep going, keep going. No,
So
keep going.
is this where they bought it? Is this where they found it?
Yeah, Travelers Rest State Historic Site. Yep. Keep going.
All right, I'm gonna go slower. Just in case I miss something. Wow. Sorry.
All right, we can start right here.
Okay. It's Bilbo Mound Chronology, Savannah, Georgia. Bilbo Mound artificial harbor and man-made canal was radiocarbon dated by Louisiana archaeologist William Hogg. This mound was begun on a man-made island near the Savannah River around 3545 BC. In other words, there is no date on when the canal and island were built. The builders apparently did not make pottery. The earliest fiber-tempered pottery in that area appeared 2400 BC. This coincides with a cold period in Northern Europe. A 20-year-long rainstorm that virtually depopulated Ireland and the abandonment of Skara Brae in the Orkney Islands. More sophisticated pottery appeared around 1800 BC and 1500 BC. Around 1200 BC, a storm or tsunami swept through the Danish archipelago and Jutland Peninsula. Most trees were leveled and up to a meter of muck was deposited on the landscape. Very few humans would have survived this event unless they were in large boats.
All right, stop. The Jutland Peninsula is the Scandinavian basin.
Okay.
So, okay, keep going. That's telling you that a tsunami came through that bitch and knocked out all of Europe from Ireland all the way to Scandinavia. All right, keep going.
I'll be down.
What happened?
Nothing. I did something over here. All right, so between 1200 BC and 1100 BC, most Bronze Age societies in the Eastern Mediterranean basins collapsed, resulting in a dark age of cultural and demographic decline. Island Carib Arawak migration legend. The names of the Carib, Taino, Toa,
Siboney,
and Guanhatabe.
Sipony. It's Sipony also.
Oh, Siboney. Okay.
Yeah.
Sipony and Siboney. Okay. And Guanhatabe. Tribes of the Caribbean basin do not refer to water or ocean, but the approximate chronologies of their migrations provide some benchmarks for interpreting the migration of ancestors of water-based tribal names, which later joined the Creek Confederacy. Groups of Taino and Toa villages in Georgia and Alabama did ultimately join the Creek Confederacy.
You see that these people was already there. The
Yeah.
Confederacy came in later. It
So
wasn't
these,
fucking identified as no fucking Confederacy. The Confederacy is what you would see as commerce. All right, come on.
all right, but this okay. So we got Taino and we got the Toa people. So they say those people don't. They from somewhere else, right? They not. I thought they were supposed to be in South America or one of the islands or something.
Man, from all of Americas, the island. You yourself is a Carib. All of the people are identified as water seers. Carib people came to the land and developed the land. We coming out of, remember now, we coming out of a place called Antarctica. Our origin. That's our origin. It's Antarctica. We're not being manifested this identity so easily in basic conversations or basic educational acceptance.
Mm.
We came and populated this land, what we call Americas. This is where you're gonna see a man-made garden, which what they would call the Amazon. It's all created by us, bro.
Okay. Okay. So during the 1650s, surviving Caribs in the Lesser Antilles were befriended by French Huguenot pastor and natural scientist Charles de Rochefort. Now, if anybody was been listening, these French Huguenots are swarthy people. All right. At that time, all non-Taino indigenous peoples in the Caribbean basin were called Caribs. The
Not
term,
Taino. Taino is gonna be the Spanish.
okay. The term, okay, I got you. Yeah, you got, Taino. You talking about also what is considered to be Toledo, the Ladinos, them too. Is that connected with them?
Yeah.
Okay. The term Arawak was not in general use during the same period. He befriended Richard Brickstock, a planter in Barbados, who spent almost a year in the northern part of what will become the state of Georgia. The Rochefort recorded their oral history of the Caribs and interpolated that information with information that Brickstock brought back to Barbados before moving his family to Virginia. Now, this, right? So wasn't this like kind of like the same movement like with George Washington and them people?
Which movement?
Well, isn't George Washington supposed to be from Barbados?
No, Haiti.
Haiti. Okay. All right. So because of a French law that forbade Protestants from publishing books, Charles de Rochefort anonymously published l'histoire naturelle et morale de l'île Antilles de l'Amérique. All right. That's my version. In 1657. The second 1658 edition was published after he moved to Amsterdam. It included his name and 10 additional chapters on what will become, in 74 years, the British province of Georgia. This second edition also includes much more information on the Caribs. De Rochefort stated that the Carib Arawak peoples originated on the South Atlantic coast between what is now St. Mary's, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina.
Do you hear it? You want to read that again?
Yeah, I was reading it again to myself before I read it out loud. Nice. So De Rochefort stated that the Carib Arawak peoples originate on the South Atlantic coast between what is now St. Mary's, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. All right. So now we have people that are considered to be supposed to be native to what you would consider to be these other locations actually having origins in North America.
Correct.
All right. He associated them with the construction of shell rings and large earthworks. He said that at some time in the ancient past, most of the Caribs began migrating southward. Other bands of Caribs migrated northward and established villages in the mountains of what is now North Carolina.
Aha.
So
Created Carolina.
So that's what it was that Appalachians and that stuff.
Yeah, the Appalachians. Yep.
Some migrated as far south as Peru. Okay, before the excess populations began migrating back north again. In their return migrations northward, some even reached southern Georgia. At one time, there had been many Carib villages in what is now western North Carolina. However, when Brigstock visited that region in 1653, he found that most of the valleys were occupied by large Appalachians. So by large Appalachite Creek towns and some Shawnee villages. There were still a few Carib villages in remote locations. Note that Richard Brigstock did not account any Cherokee villages. He did even hear their name. Okay, so he didn't even hear their name mentioned. Uchi. All right.
It's gonna get into showing you. It's gonna get into showing you that the Cherokees wasn't even mentioned. Wasn't even a name. This Seminole shit. How it was coming in by the creation of the crackers, identifying the bands of the people that was banded and not identified under a confederacy. Identified by confederacy, just tribal link.
Right.
All of that, bro. I mean, it's a good read. Then there's some more backing documents for that also. That coincide with this document. I got them. It was all written in the same reading format of reading.
Huh. Yeah, I'm looking at, I'll be looking at these. I go to my Hebrew a little bit to look at these names. Interesting. These are all where my people was at. Yeah.
Yep, the Hokichi, all them is Carib people, bro.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I gotta read this. This is interesting.
I thought you'll like it.
Yeah.
Just one of the readings, a little something I'd be going through just to obtain the things that I already fucking know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So Arfel says Stone Mountain, Georgia is the only place in the world where the Giza Pyramid capstone is found. Okay. Hey, this is a weak point in my game. If it is a weak point, kind of like to not know everything. This is something that's interesting. Yeah. Shoot. Gotta look into that. I mean, it's interesting. Okay, so let's talk about the Powhatans. Let's talk about the Powhatan people. That group that was in Virginia. That whole Pocahontas thing and, other things you talk about, Queen Anne and, this whole Iroquois and the development of the Declaration and Constitution, where they said, these people helped form it and everything. Let's start with the Powhatans. Is that their original name or is it derived? Because I see also they mentioned Monkey. But what is that relationship and what does that have to do with the United States, if any? The Powhatans.
Yeah. I mean, if you go prior to what you call the East Coast, or if you go prior to what you call the I'm gonna give you something on the politics. Just give me a minute. If you go, I'm trying to answer American and isness question. If you go
Yeah,
on,
that's why I put that up there. We kind of that just goes off what you were just talking about. So yeah, go ahead. You can answer.
right, this whole identity of land was once identified from Boston, Massachusetts. It wasn't Boston, Massachusetts. It wasn't Newfoundland. It was none of that. It was identified as the West Indies, all the way to the Lesser Antilles. So from Boston, Massachusetts, all the way down to the Lower Islands was identified as West Indies for as the commerce trading. I don't understand the misconception of it was America, or this is something that was inducted through a colonist identity, foreign identity, Huguenot identity, European identity. Even your royals of England, the whole royal bloodline is from the Mosquito tribe of Jamaica. Look it up. Your first royal elects were from the Mosquito tribe from Jamaica. Well, Jamaica, what you would call it today. Go look it up. So if you're trying to disassociate your people with running some shit, this is why the shit got terrorized in the first, because you're trying to disassociate from people who have rights on the land. This is why it's going the way it's going. All right, you got rights to the land, but you part of the land, but you probably was born over so and so, but your origin is from here. All right, well we're gonna still claim the land, but you can run the business part of it, and that's what the fuck happened. Oh yeah, you want us to come run the business? All right, check this. Gonna run everything, put everything back up under foreign identity since you want to claim on foreign. Come on, man. Even the site of United States citizen, the United States is a foreign identity. Um, um, London is holding their charter for the United States right now today. Where's the charter at? Foreign. Where's the company? Foreign. The company is not here. This is why they have a what you call it, qualified immunity, because they're following up on a diplomatic service. United States, period. That's why they try to get out of common law and create their own, because they have a whole different jurisdiction, sweetheart. Go ahead. The politics. Let me get into the politics.
Yeah.
This identity of the Powhatans was created by Chief Powhatan's second daughter. She married into, they created this behind her so they can get a land grab. They married her into a European state, even though the story of Pocahontas sister, put it that way. The story of Pocahontas was supposed to be in the way it went, which is a made up story. The true identity of this Pocahontas was King Powhatan's second daughter by a foreign woman. and she was in the jurisdiction of the colony, and she ended up marrying colonists, and they end up creating the Powhatan ideology behind her to do a land grab. If you follow the crumbs, you're gonna find the story.
But that's what eventually happened. That land grab, that's what happened. And most of them people had to move. They either assimilated, totally amalgamated into that group, or they moved. Yeah. Interesting. That's the story. That's pretty much what it says in the stories. Them people that they was helping and clothing and feeding turned on them, started burning their shit up. Yep. Now, these people, just for the sake of shits and giggles, Nadi, who were these people? These Europeans, who were they?
Hey, yo, peace.
What up, Chivaya?
Man, some great conversation. I've been listening, having another conversation as well. But so interesting, just a little something I'll throw on there. There's a book called Lost Tribes in the Promised Lands. You can look it up. And I believe chapter 19 or 13, it's one of the two. It's when the 12th chapter is the Jew becoming a Negro. And the 13th chapter is when the servants become the masters. So who you're asking who these people are? They're the servants of those who once ruled. This is the movie we were talking about 2 weeks ago, Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. The servant becoming the master and the master becoming the servant. Switching roles. Commercially, internationally, international commerce. Switching the role entirely. So that's who they are. They are the servants of those who were once ruling. And those who were once ruling are now the servants. So yeah, the book's Lost Tribes in the Promised Land. I believe the chapter is 13, 12, 13, and maybe 18. But yeah. All those people that are in rulership right now, their families, they took it by trading what you would call state's evidence. So what they were doing is they were under the Inquisition, which the word Inquisition means investigation. They were usurping the land's title interests of the Moors, which were the Israelites, and they were using the law of God to do it. Coming in saying that now they're the vicars of Christ because the empire has fell, right? And then through edicts, they sent out these different kingdoms to investigate whether these Israelites were claiming Islam or anything other than the Bible. This is punishable by death according to the scriptures. And this is what the Inquisition was. So you got 6 levels of the Inquisition. You got starts with the Spanish and it ends ultimately with the English, but it goes through all of the 3 or 4 Christendom empires. And they did this all over the world. And it started in America because the people who were fleeing Roman persecution, they ran to America. That's where they ran to. They ran to what was familiar, which is home. But then it spread, right? It didn't stop in Spain or Granada. it spread through almost like 1200 AD all the way up to 1603, which ends in England, and that's when London, which is the central of the banking system of the Moors, was taken over. When the crown of England, which was held by the stewards who were Israelites, was usurped, then it was over. They had control of America. Because America's always been controlled through the same people, just on one piece of land. I mean, I can't tell you exactly the significance of what's going on over there, but I mean, I guess I could. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, man, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a great usurpation. And if you look up the word usurpation, it's the taking over of lands, dominions, and grants by force or trickery or the language of law. That's what it is. So that's what they did, you know? And we're the last generation of niggas who's about to go through this shit and not know what's happening to them. You know what I mean? We the last generation of that. We're the first generation of knowing exactly what happened, but we're the last generation for it to happen too. So that's why you get the consciousness. You got all these different brothers teaching all these different rhetorics, because the information is ciphered. You know what I mean? Information is ciphered throughout the world, throughout the nations. And now the world's like, oh yeah, these niggas are the original people. They created everything. You know what I mean? And now they're subject to everything they created. Like, think about what type of magic that takes to create what you're now subject to.
Right. And that book is called what again? You said The Lost Tribes and what?
Lost Tribes and Promised Lands.
All right. So that book is pretty extensive. It has. So it does it just pertain to the Americas, or does it talk about places all over?
It talks about what led to the nations of the world coming into America, what they were looking for, what they knew was over here, what was commonly circulated. Like, because you got to remember, when these Christendom nations are rising, they're taking over the estates of these Moors all over the world. And all the Moors, which are Israelites, had libraries.
Let me say something right quick.
Go ahead.
People be getting shit confused and don't understand shit. So the name Senecomico, all right, is what those people, the original people, identified themselves as. The name Powhatan is a goddamn corporate structure created by colony. You running your ass around here claiming to be a goddamn Powhatan. You don't know your history. You're not saying you're what you call yourself as the original people, and you're claiming to be a goddamn foreign construction. I don't understand what the fuck is the problem around this camp that we can't understand this shit.
I mean, I think what they don't understand, Nadi, is that the trick of the devil, the way the devil confounded the world was through. Hold on, my bad. Hold on 1 second, nephew. The way that the devil confused or confounded the world was through incorporating it. That's the trick. Make you think it's okay that everything that you do is through incorporation, including your nationality, including your statehood, including your citizenship. Everything is incorporated. In corpse, in the dead, the land of the dead. You're doing
Claiming a dead man. Claiming a dead man name. Claiming to be a dead man.
man's name, Anon Degora.
I don't understand this shit, bro. Which gonna put you in the jurisdiction of the creator. which is the United States. You're trying to jump out the pot and jumping dead into the fucking fire. I don't think people don't want to listen to Nadi. They want to think Nadi don't know what the fuck he talking about. They want to go after everybody else and get all this other fucked up ass information and confuse the shit instead of getting one goddamn identity of who's gonna fucking show you what's going on and work with that individual till you fucking learn what the fuck he's saying and doing and how he structure his shit. Not keep bouncing from fucking place to place to place to place to place to place and get your ass caught up in some bullshit. It's crazy. I'm not claiming none of them motherfucking people in. None of them. I'm creating my own, and I'm going off of my testimony, my Bible, my apocryphy, my declaration. Fuck everybody else's, bro. Fuck who was before me. Fuck who comes after me. If they can't catch this shit and run this shit, to have themselves free and set up some shit where they can control their own shit, man, I don't want no parts of it, bro. I don't want no parts of somebody who's still up under the United States corporation and umbrella and think they're gonna come in and be affiliated with my shit. It's not happening. I don't want no motherfucking Seminoles. I don't want no motherfucking Cherokees. I don't want none of that shit affiliated with my estate at all because it compromises your shit. It compromises your shit and make it the property of the United States. If the United States got one piece of hair in your shit, it makes it their property. So man, this shit crazy, bro. This shit is crazy. I just got cussed out. I already knew I was saying something someone didn't like, but goddamn, it's the fucking truth. Damn. That wasn't your goddamn people name, bro. Go ahead. Chief, I am my fault, bro. Shit is crazy. Why you hate Indians so much? Goddamn, it's the format what it's under. Why I hate citizens so much? Because of the format is under. Mm, 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 mm. It's really crazy. All right, so hey, what's going on, Nate? Yeah, I was walking around. What's going on, Nate? Mama Chief, what's happening now? All right, so look, check it out. Now, these names have been, I would say, penciled in. These names that have been penciled in, and this is the whole thing. Why, let me go back up to my definition. We'll go back to my definition. Oh, where we at? Where we at? There it is. Act. None can correct me. Go ahead. Let them come up with their false testimony and correction, bro. This shit crazy. This shit crazy. Let's deal with Google some bullshit instead of fucking coming with real document, real historian writings. This shit crazy. Let's deal with the word act. Let's deal with acts. You remember, all this stuff is act. We heard the brother earlier. He had a whole nice demand notice, but he wants it to be attached to the 29th. I mean, as the 29th Amendment to the Constitution. We probably have a pale skin that's saying that the Constitution was already usurped and pretty much put out of here in 1871. Here comes Reconstruction and all the other things, central banking, so on and so forth. And then, we have these names that we find through the federal census. We necessarily do not find these names in our family books. We always got the family books. We got pictures, we got albums, you got Bibles, you got names penciled in, wrote in pen, about who your family is. So we got to be able to scrutinize them
as some form of fashion based on the fact that we've all come from different places and we've been taught different things. So, I think the one thing is what we should do is, be open to listen to somebody's other perspective. The only way we're going to be able to figure this out is hear everybody out. Now, this is me talking. This is me, just me. I ain't telling y'all what to do. Y'all grown. I ain't telling y'all what to do. But I am saying, though, hear everybody out. At this point in time, our people should be not doing anything but turning down their collar. That's it. Open yourself up for some of the things, see what applies, see what don't apply. But if you go get creative, I mean, kind of like what that brother did when he read off all that stuff. And, if people just got here, I could bring it back up. I mean, this guy was pretty good at what he did. You come up with something in order to make a demand and be creative in the midst of, and I'm all for this part. You put all these names in the system. You said this was everything. Okay, I found that I'm not a West African slave. I found that out. I'm good. People here, nothing else known. You didn't test all these different things that we can find. Now, I would say in my genealogy, really haven't found any Indian, any tribe outside of the fact that we have a connection to Virginia and the Powhatans. We found that in the group. But people don't know nothing about that. That's just me doing my extra due diligence. What weight can I give it? Because also they mention the same people are Paul Monkey people, Paul Monkeys. You know what I'm saying? I don't put a lot of weight into that. I can't. I can't do that because I don't know. I wasn't there. Now, to get creative about the situation, if they want to create the whole act, the whole theatrical scene, the narrative, all these pen names and actor names and actresses and people that's been here, because that's all it is to me is a movie. Because that's all I learned about everything through a movie, a documentary, a docudrama, a book, a novel. That's classes and shit. That's how I learned this stuff. To make me even go there, to even know this information. So now when I did my genealogy, I was able to say, oh, we them people. Oh, them people ain't native. Oh, them people ain't white. Oh, them people ain't. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I start there. At least I know at the end of the day, this was, if there's something that was created by the United States, I at least know that these people weren't what they said they were. Now I can go from there. You lied to me. And then we can say, okay, we got somebody like Nani that comes from the islands. You know what I'm saying? He has a whole different perspective. He learned totally different from us. That's obvious. He learned different from people in Jamaica. He learned, everybody learns different because everybody's history is different. And there's occupation that was done from a lot of different other groups that want to put their own stamp and be able to separate us all. We know that we've been separated. We have been separated within North America. We don't have to even go that further outside of that. In North America, we've all been separated, even though we still might all be related in some form of fashion, either through blood, either through marriage, either through empires, either through treaties, agreements, business, confederacy, whatever it might be. So, calm down, people. Calm down. It's all right. I don't believe a goddamn thing. I'm going to keep it a buck. I don't believe shit. You know what I'm saying? But what I do know is somebody didn't lie to me. And somebody that I now am convinced don't like me. And their whole their whole genealogy and bloodline don't like me. I can start there. So now I could take everything that they say and I said, well, I got to scrutinize it all. Let's start there. And I digress. Let me pull this thing up real quick for the new people that are here. Stay, don't go nowhere. I want you guys to hear this guy was pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. I like it. It's a good start. This is motivational. You know what I mean? This is a motivational thing. So listen closely. Listen closely. All right. Let's stop screen. Let's bring it back up. Bam, bam. Remember, it's an act. Get your popcorn. Let me make sure everything is up. Everything is up. Everything is up. Here you go. Let me mute my mic.
Today, we established a new law. Let the historical record of Black America show that on this day, we bypassed the jurisdiction of the United States government entirely. This is the formal, sovereign ratification of our guarantees of non-repetition. Section 1 audits the debt. We formally enter into the historical record a $20 trillion default of unjust enrichment, representing more than 400 years of stolen foundational capital, compounded by the deliberate dismantling of our legal protections. Section 2 dictates the mandate of systemic redress. It requires absolute restitution of stolen capital, direct financial compensation, the fully funded rehabilitation of our degraded infrastructure, the permanent historical satisfaction of the truth, and the absolute veto-proof guarantees of non-repetition. Section 3 formally declares the United States government mathematically, structurally, and morally incapable of executing these 5 pillars. The system has chosen erasure over restitution. Therefore, we declare the establishment and permanent economic default, and the petition is officially withdrawn.
All right. Let me finish.
Section 4 executes the sovereign override. We enact the doctrine of zero dependency. We will no longer act as the captive consumer base for the institutions that engineered our exclusion. Effective immediately, we shift from external legislative dependency to internal operational execution, mobilizing a $15 billion sovereign reserve to privately fund our own repair. We do not petition for its inclusion. We mandate its execution. This is the 29th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America.
Now, he's speaking with authority. But obviously, you know, there's some issues there, and I address those issues. He's speaking with authority. Sounds good to me. But you got to start. You got to take baby steps. We got to work from right now, and we got to work our way all the way back. Don't need your emotions, Mama Chief. Guys need to, ladies, relax. Keep doing what you're doing. Let the big boys handle the heavy lifting. Keep doing what you're doing. But when we get up here as full-grown men and build on all the aspects, because we got to listen to Big Mama. We're going to listen to Big Mama. Big Mama going to make her voice heard. She going to say what she got to say. But at the end of the day, who's got to get busy? Thank you. But at the end of the day, Nadi is not a foreigner. He is an American. We have all been subject to colonization. I'm not defending Nadi. I'm speaking facts. I'm foreign to Texas. I'm foreign to Nevada. I'm foreign to Mississippi. I'm foreign to these places. When I go there, I don't know the culture. I don't know the custom. I got to hear them a couple times to understand what the hell they saying. You understand? I agree with that. Is this? You're not listening? The women are going to speak. Big Mama's going to speak. The women are going to sound it. They're going to say what it is. But who got to get busy? Who got to do the heavy lifting? That's all I'm saying. We got to work together. It's got to be a balance. We are all subject to colonization. Just like I said, simple fact. I don't say, hey, son, what's going on, son? Done. You call me son? Get out of here. That's a problem over here in California. You don't call me son. Woden. What the hell is a woden? I don't know what that means. There's certain things that I listen to that my cousins that they have in different places. They have a whole different language. I'm California. I'm going to say something and they're not going to understand what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's a big place. It's a big place. It's a big place. Now, I like what he's saying, but is that the end all be all? Nah, what he's saying ain't the end all be all. But he has a starting point. That starting point is working from right now all the way back. There's a lot of work to do. He just did that is what you would call a preamble. What he just gave us. That is a preamble to the other stuff. Okay, how can you prove it? How can you prove that debt? How can you do that? So on and so forth. Where is it placed? Where is it going? Where did it come from? Where is your place in to make the claim? How can you prove that you're a real party in interest? Where is this so-called millions and trillions of dollars coming from? How do you know you have a claim to it? You see? Why, under the circumstances, would you want to attach that to the Constitution as the 29th Amendment? For what? Are you claiming that the United States Constitution, the Constitution for the United States, well, however they say it, is actual a black thing? Are you saying that civil rights attached us to the Constitution, or was we already a part of the Constitution? Questions. So, under those circumstances, here we go. Now, this black term, this is why I said this black term, all these terminologies and all this stuff has to be done in a collective group and sit down and have the conversation. And as I said before, we need elders. And I'm not talking about 50, 60-year-old. We need 70-year-old elders, 70 plus, to come in here and rectify these terms and these bywords and all this stuff. We need all of that to get done properly. People is in power, yeah. But if you're not thinking that colonization didn't happen when you think it did, but colonization did happen. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to let the brothers speak whatever they want to speak, and we're going to close out. We on 3:42. I think we kept good time. I want to stay under 4 hours. So I think we got it in. I'm going to make sure I fix my presentation. So I'll make sure that at least I'm done doing everything by 2.5 hours. I have 2.5 hours with the streaming, the music, the opening, all that stuff. and my little reactions and so on and so forth. I want to make sure I'm done within 2.5 hours. But yeah, we got to work together. Now, these terms and all this stuff, hey, look, ain't no problem. Everybody learns differently. Everybody receives the information differently. But we're going to have to figure it out, all right? All right. Good talk. Y'all got anything? But what we do know is that there is money, funds, credits, rent, things that need to be paid. Regardless of what anybody says, there is a relationship that was agreed upon between our forefathers and foremothers and they people. And they breached that. And I don't care what situation they're talking about, they didn't have the right to do it unless they declared war. But at no point in time, we know that they actually declared war. We know war on drugs, war on poverty, war on education, war on this, war on that. We have all these systematic things that was put in place by their own declarations, right? So like we say right here, I'm going to bring it up real quick. Let's bring it up real quick. Let's go over here. Act, right? So we know these acts, right? It's actually done. It's actually done by what? By what? By what? Affirmative expression of will, purpose, carries idea of performance, primarily that which is done or doing, exercise of power. We remember donor, grantor, remember the ors and the e's. Grantor, donor, trustor, creator, settlor, all that is what does what? Give power of appointment for what? To give power. Creates a trust. The intent of the settler is everything, and it cannot be changed. Now, what they did is, as the E, they went and used that power and exercised that power underneath, is under the rug for their own benefit. That is a breach of fiduciary duty, a breach of contract. That's a breach of trusteeship. In other words, in the sense of an international thing on a nationwide level, that is treason. Now, it says exercise of power or effect of which power exerted is cause, a performance, a deed. Remember we was talking about them deeds, right? In its most general sense, this noun signifies something done voluntarily by a person. We know the definition of person. The exercise of an individual's power, the exercise. When it says exercise, remember fiduciary responsibility by definition in American jurisprudence. Public officials and employees. To exercise at every disability and prohibition, right? Exercise by every prohibition and disability. Stop taking, no, let me tell you what not to do. Y'all grown folks, y'all do what y'all want. Try and utilize this information or read these definitions in an objective manner versus subjective. And receive what I'm giving so that way you can say, okay, it don't mean that. It actually means this. Now, let's go a little bit further. In a more technical sense, it means something done voluntarily by a person or of such a nature that certain legal consequences attached to it. You see? By certain legal consequences are attached to it. Under every disability and prohibition. So if they don't exercise their power as it to be done by the donor, grantor, settlor, creator, then guess what? That's why I like that young man that put it out there, that information, what he said. Yeah, it needs to be fixed. Fiduciary responsibility, American jurisprudence. Know it. If you do not follow that, you do breach your fiduciary duties and you breach your contract, and that is a breach of trust as well. Let's keep going. Thus, a grantor, here we go, acknowledges the conveyance to B, his act and deed. The terms being synonymous, it may denote something done by an individual as a private citizen or as an officer, as they look at it within the United States. You see? This is now an interpretation that they're using. This is where your Article 1 and your Article 3 got into a play to circumvent Article 2 with your executive in order to do something so that way they can't meet those tribunals and Gitmo and all these different places for their treasonous acts as trustees of the people and not just what you consider said United States citizens, because we know a United States citizen in the public is nothing but an indentured servant at best, a peon somewhat. All right. So, with that being said, we're going to come back on that. I appreciate everybody being here. But at this point in time, I'm tired of talking to y'all. And y'all just be jumping in and out. I see 9 here, then I see him 14. Hey, y'all ain't going to hold me hostage. Hey, we're about to do this right here. We're about to do this right here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this will, it's Monday. We just, Monday night quarterbacking this thing, looking at something, seeing how we're going to build for the rest of the week. And then from there, we will create our format. All right. But based on that, y'all have a good one. Y'all have a good one. I am going to let these brothers out. We'll go over it later. All right, y'all. Peace to everybody. Peace to Nadia and Chief I Am for coming up. Peace, Nate. Peace, American Business. Rod Will. None of your business. Mama Chief showed up finally. Hopefully you'll come up here one day and come holler at me. I mean, in a good way, holler at me. Don't holler at me. J-Dub, Heartfelt Sinners. All right. King Chameleon, Richie Rich. Who else we got up here? Thank you guys for keeping it active. Much love to everybody. Who else? Who else we got up in here? Yep, let's put these flames up here from None of Your Business. That's what I'm talking about. Truth Be Told, 6020. Truth Be Told, appreciate you coming here. Old Dude, Copper Draco. Yep. And speaking of Copper Draco, we are going to try to figure out a way where we can do some things. Draco, mother, he just told me that his mother has stage 4. He said it's all right to talk about it. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to push it around the community and see if we can do some fundraising for her so she can get some holistic healing. You know what I mean? At least whatever she chooses to do, she can get some holistic healing, get some things, get some recipes, so that way, however she decides to live out the rest of her life going through with that chemo and radiation and all that stuff, or just being a soldier about, I'm going to go this route and we going holistic. But if it's my time, it's my time. So we'll at least see if we can try to figure out how to get some funding. And, we're going to spread that around. And this is where we're going to go with it. All right. Shout out to Copper Draco. We just did it here. Don't need to, under the circumstances, if you could do it in a private, let them know. And then we'll try to figure out how to, negotiate this thing to try to send some things his way. All right. Outside of the prayers and spiritual wishes, see if we can try to figure out how we can get some funds over there to him. And some recipes. Maybe we might be able to find a holistic doctor or somebody that just who do holistic medicine, juices, and all that stuff, and send them some things, on the house. You know what I mean? Outside of that, much love. We out. When this music over, it's over. I'm gonna go and let y'all out the door. Peace, Chief. I am.
All right.
All right, no doubt. Peace, Naughty. All right, we gone. And we gone. There we go.
No moving. No moving. No moving. Yeah. No moving. No moving. No moving.
I'm the coach, quotes coded in oak with a ghost loaded focus. Chrome in the coat, king with the cloak, smoking that hocus pocus. Infinite styles, pivot and pile up the mileage. I'm wild with the science. You see the line on my avatar, iron draw pride. I to devour the silence. Why you niggas steady lying? Got me laughing hard, satire and fraud. I fire the squad. Wise get crossed when I'm sparring with all the guards. Author of art, carving a mark in the bark of the market at large. Target the sharks, heart of a Spartan. I sharpen the margin with bars. You rather bargain and dodge. I'd rather you come get your taxes done. Black suit, back room, facts in a stack. I'm relaxing the maximum. Get out of the pocket, the profit of rocket. Then I just might tax you punks. Bracket your funds, I'm stacking in chunks. Reacting to acid, you're begging to punch. Sometimes my community hard-headed, scarred, dreading the lessons. I chart head and start spreading the message, embedded in pressure. Sovereign living, I'm private with it. No corporate percentage. Discharging debt with a pen stroke. You still don't notice the vision. I've been telling y'all you don't want to debate me. Weighty and ready. Great with machetes, linguistically shredding the petty. Grab these 15 acres. Landscape major, plan made paper. Land patent stamped and sacred since my campaign greater. I ain't talking about Ice-T when I say that I can show you law and order. Court recorder, I sort the torture, contort the border. I eat the case, beat the state, leave a trace in a raw supporter. Briefcase aura, got your baby mama thinking that I'm a lawyer. Seminole Indian sentiment, militant on sovereign soil. Private enrollment, tribal component. I'm the boss who you trying to employ.
Cards, baby. Infinite.